This man is ticket for a ghost train. I believe what he said, but I never do it once again. Mama told me this is my heartache, but nothing can stop me from going insane. He's calling me, saying my baby girl, while he's in bed with another chick in his rose-colored world. I want to choke him, want to maltreat him. I want to squeeze him and break his neck. I said, ooh, I got nothing but a heartache, and I just wanna let you know that I'm about to go insane. You know that I will soon take my gun to shoot him down. This man is a ticket for a heartache. I want to break him bone for bone, want to stab him all night long with a needle, nothing but my heartaches. I mean it when I say get that trick out of my way. I want to choke him, want to maltreat him. I want to squeeze him and break his neck. I said, ooh, I got nothing but a heartache, and I just wanna let you know that I'm about to go insane. You know that I will soon take my gun to shoot him. Ooh, I got nothing but a heartache, and I just wanna let you know that I'm about to go.
Hello, and welcome to the stream for this first hands-on look at the Jigsaw House, the upcoming first-person puzzle game from Studio Persephone's Chair. My name is Ben Lathbury, and I'm the lead programmer and designer on the Jigsaw House, a purely ceremonial title, since I'm actually the only programmer on the game. It's possible you may also know me by my online moniker Royal Flush. Either is fine. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in and for your interest in the Jigsaw House. It's my first major project as a game developer, and to have your support means a great deal to me. It's very much a project of passion, and I hope that when it's done, you'll get as much enjoyment out of playing it as I've had making it. Today, I'm going to be giving you a hands-on demo of the game in its current form. I want to stress that this is very much a work in progress and by no means a finished game or even a prototype demo in alpha stage. Just a little inside look as to what the game is going to be. But first, a little history. The idea for the Jigsaw House came after I'd been doing a lot of modding work on the game Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I'd had a lot of fun designing and playing these puzzles and sharing them with the community, but I had this notion that there were some puzzles I had in my mind that didn't quite fit into the scope of a small module on the side of a bomb. So the idea of the Jigsaw House was born, a small, essentially open world building which houses a number of larger scale puzzles. Now, there are three main influential factors on this game, so if you enjoy any of the following, there's a good chance you'll get a kick out of this. The first and most obvious influence is Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, a game entirely based around solving puzzles with the unique dynamic of having it to be a cooperative multiplayer experience. Whilst the Jigsaw House remains entirely single-player focused, the logic underneath some of the puzzles is very similar to some of the puzzles encountered in Catane. It's also, to date, my only previous coding experience, so it's been a big personal influence in the creation of the Jigsaw House, and a game that still plays a big part in my life. Now, whilst the game is basically a puzzle game and not a horror game, the aesthetic and slightly dingy appearance of the house is inspired by the fantastic Amnesia: The Dark Descent survival horror game, a game I found so intensely scary I couldn't actually complete it. Maybe I'm just a wimp. Whilst it lacks the intensity of enemies who will chase you, the Jigsaw House does have a strong element of exploration, which slots it quite nicely alongside Amnesia. Additionally, some of the paintings that are encountered in the house, whilst not on the Lovecraftian level of Amnesia, are pretty disturbing, and the overall atmosphere should hopefully leave you suitably rattled, if not terrified. Finally, probably one of my favourite games of the last 10 years, the narrative drive of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, coupled with its non-hand-holding approach to solving a myriad of environmental and jigsaw-style puzzles, plays into the Jigsaw House in a very strong way. What I particularly enjoyed about Ethan Carter was that, unlike many other puzzle games, where you need to find item X and apply it to object Y, the inventory system was quite limited, and pretty much only used in the context of the puzzle you were currently working on. Everything else was point and click. This is something that works quite nicely in the Jigsaw House. There are no complex inventory systems that you have to manage, and apart from paintings, which we'll get to later, there are no items that you have to fetch and carry to apply to another item half a mile away. In its most basic form, the Jigsaw House is a series of puzzles that will test your observation skills and the lateral part of your brain. There is an element of procedural generation to them, in that the exact solution will vary from playthrough to playthrough, but the basic mechanics of each puzzle remain the same, and once you've worked out the premise, it should be fairly simple to calculate the answer. For this reason, I'm going to be sketchy on the actual details of the puzzles and resist the temptation to show you exactly how they work, as I'd quite like you to play it once it's finished. However, depending on the success and popularity of it, the sky is basically the limit when it comes to future-proofing the game. Since the puzzles all work as discrete elements in their own right, the limit is basically whatever I can imagine. For this reason, I'm already considering DLC packs or episodic content for extending the life of the game. That decision will most likely be determined by how much the game is driven from a narrative point of view. At the moment, there's quite a bit planned, but we are still early in development, so we'll see. Okay, so here we go. First look, hands-on demo of the Jigsaw House. So the idea is that there's going to be some narration going on over this cutscene, which sort of sets the scene. I mean, the narrative idea is not enormously... it's not the biggest part of the game, so to speak. But I kind of like this opening cutscene, this idea of just sort of waking up with a slightly blurred vision and, excuse me, not knowing where you are and whatnot. So you wake up and you're facing this door, and I will tell you for nothing, this door that we're looking at right now is the end goal. That is where we are trying to get to, through that door. So let's use WASD to move, and mouse to look around. So essentially you start at the end. Behind that door is going to be the final puzzle, so to speak, which I'm not going to say any more about. But that is the sort of the object of the game, and I'm wary I don't want to give too much away of what's actually going on. So I'll caution what I say. So we start off and we've got a sort of opening corridor with these switches. Now at the moment there's nothing to sort of suggest you can interact with them. I might put some UI on there to sort of suggest you can, but when you click, at the moment it doesn't do anything. You'll notice that there's no flames on these torches, as and when you solve the puzzles. The flame goes up and the lever will then pull. As it is right now, though, you can see those puzzles haven't been solved. So there's our first little bit of UI. Press F to activate torch. Now this is, again, it's not great. It's a little bit, someone said to me the other day that it's a little bit close, so that's something that will be being changed in due course. But yeah. So we have our first puzzle. This isn't one of the main puzzles. This is one of the introductory puzzles to the game. And again, there's going to be some narration where the character's sort of internal monologue is being expressed. And he's going to say a little bit about what goes on here in this room. What I'm going to do at this point is actually cut the video, because I don't want to show you how I found out the solution. But I'm going to do that now, and then we'll pick up again in a minute. Okay, I think I've got the solution now. So I can. This is one of the ones that's purely procedurally generated, so it doesn't matter that I show you what I'm treading on here. But you can see as I press on the pressure pad, it sinks into the floor. it once I've done that. The first gate springs open. Obviously there's not enough room to get out. Now there's a big R button here, so you see when you step on that, all the tiles are going to come back up. Okay, I think I've got the second puzzle solution now. So let's try this. And there we go, the second gate opens. Right, so hopefully I've done that without actually spoiling how to do the puzzle, but that is essentially a tutorial puzzle. Yeah, and that opens up the gate to the main body of the house. So that's probably going to get a bit of overlay, left mouse button to interact with objects. So this is where the main sort of part of the house starts, and you can see you get these all over the house, these sorts of paintings which are a little bit grim and ghastly. This one is particularly nasty, where you've got a man being flayed alive, so if any fans of Game of Thrones out here. And the UI overlay there is there to sort of suggest that actually when you interact with the paintings, when you click them, you can collect them and put them back. That is about as far as the inventory goes. You can take paintings out, and there's a very good reason for being able to take paintings out, which I'll say more about in due course. Now this is a door which only opens from the other side, and we may end up there. I'm not going to show you every puzzle, but I will show you a few of them. If you hold down shift, you can move a little bit faster as well, interact with that door, and it opens up. So as you can see at the moment, this room is a little bit barren. There's not a huge amount going on. You've got barrels, you've got stairs, and you've got walls. I'm going to go this way and show you a puzzle down here. And again, I just want to stress that this is pre-alpha gameplay. This is by no means anything close to a final product. Okay, so we're going to come down here and we're going to come to one of our puzzle rooms. Now this is the staircase. That's the UI it's going to tell us there. And I've just spotted something there. You can see there's a little bit of a bleed in the floor there where I've not quite aligned the meshes properly, so that's something I will probably have to change at some point in the future. So to say, it's not a finished game, but so just to give you an idea. There's a slightly happier painting over there of dogs playing poker. Okay, so if you come to this room, this is the staircase room. You can see you've got these wheel spokes, spacebar jumps incidentally. Now at the moment I don't know if these wheels are actually going to end up having anything on them. They probably will, almost certainly will. What you can't see at the moment is obviously, I mean, it's fairly obvious that the object of this level is to raise the staircase, and you might just be able to see up there there's a master wheel up there. Now that master wheel, when you turn it, will solve the puzzle for all intents and purposes. So now the question remains, can I solve? You've got this block here which has got some numbers on it. I'm going to turn a wheel. I'm fairly sure this is not the right wheel. And that goes down, the wheel turns, the thing goes down and comes back up, and it's got new numbers on it. And that wheel spins back. I'll just show you those again. If I turn this one, the wheel spins and then spins back. And you can see again the numbers have changed on here, so it's now 1 and 6. Let me show you what the thing does as I turn around. It goes down and comes back up again. Okay, so now's the question as to whether or not I can actually remember what one of the answers is to something. Not to that. I may or may not be able to show you for the stairs animation. It depends how much I can remember. But say this is the sort of puzzle that you're going to be encountering. I might know that one. So let's have a look, see if I can remember this. Hopefully if I turn this wheel we'll get something happen on the stairs. Nope. Apparently not. Let's just try one more, see if we can do this one. Not optimistic. No. Nope. So yeah, it's this is more or less all you're going to be presented with. There will be a little bit more information on the wheels as to what is going on with this puzzle here. But as it currently stands in its current form, I'm just going to try one more thing. In its current form, this is the puzzle. So this point is... Aha! So you can see I've got the right wheel there. And there's no sound or anything at the moment. It is all purely placeholder. But you can see the stairs raise up when I turn that wheel just there. And I can start to climb the stairs. And you can see where this is going to go, ultimately. If I turn this wheel, that's wrong. And it goes back down again. Okay, so that's the staircase puzzle, which is right there. Let's go to the other side of the house. We'll do a little wander around. In fact, no, what I'll do, I'll go... is there anything up here? I think there might just be a big empty... Yeah, that's where I haven't finished it off the walls yet. So there's another couple of puzzles in here which I'm deliberately not going to show you because I want you to discover them in your own time. We open this door. But I am going to go down to the other side of the house. Now we might see something else. I think I'm going to show you 3 puzzles in this demo. So that was the first one, the staircase. We're going to continue going down here and we're going to open up this door. I want to say it's open world. I said it was open world in the introduction. I sort of just mean you can go anywhere within the house and you can do them in any order you like. There's a Salvador Dali painting there, Persistence of Memory. That's a particularly gruesome painting, the Medusa. Now here's another puzzle, which I'm not going to go into detail on. This is the maze. And I'm not going to give you any more detail than what you can see there. That's all there's going to be. I am, however, going to show you this room down here because this is one of the ones that it aesthetically looks quite nice, and it's also one of the rooms that I've not used one of the prefabs from the multi-story dungeons pack for, and I've actually done sort of built the room myself, and obviously out of the views the textures and the prefabs of the walls and things, but it's not a standard prefab room. And this is the temple. Now, the curtains you saw, the billowing curtains, this is something that you saw in the teaser trailer. I'm actually going to go inside and past the curtains now so you can have a little look at the inside of this room. There we have it. This is the temple. Now there's stuff written on the wall, which I'm being deliberately coy about showing you, but you can see it's sort of a fresco idea of this sort of slightly satanic temple. And yeah, and there's some stuff on the wall which I'm not going to go into too much detail on, and there are candles on the floor and a pentagram. And one thing I will show you here is that when you click the candle, it fires up and leaves a mark on the ceiling. And you can do that again and leave a number of different marks. And again, you can see here that this flame is just sort of floating on top of the candle, so I'm not 100% happy with how this animation is at the moment, and that's the same on the other ones. You can fire that up there, and it puts a little flame on the ceiling. So that's the temple. I'm just going to go for a long walk through the house, and this is part of the thing that it's part of me feels it feels arbitrarily long at the moment, and you just have to wander these corridors endlessly looking for something to do. There are only 8 puzzles in the game, so you know it's arguably you could say it's a little bit of padding, but I didn't just want it to be a series of one corridor with 8 doors coming off. I wanted it to be slightly more interesting. You can see there that I've overshot that wall slightly, so you've got an invisible wall there of a fashion, and that comes out too far there, so I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but that'll be something added to the ever-increasing to-do list. So we're going to travel underneath the maze and head over here. You see there are more paintings on the wall, and these paintings are dotted throughout the castle. There's a very good reason for it, which I'm not going to say at this point, but it's also the reason you can sort of switch them out. So for example, if I just take this painting out, leave a blank canvas there, and I'm going to come down to here, let's say this one, and I'm going to click again, and that replaces it. And I've now picked up that painting of Saturn devouring his young, which is what that painting is. And I can replace that there, and so on. Now this is going to be a puzzle room, or I'm planning for it currently to be a puzzle room at the moment, but at the moment it's empty, has nothing in it, but that will be the last puzzle, the last of the 8 puzzles that you're going to encounter in the Jigsaw House. And as I come down here, there's another one of Saturn devouring his young, which we can switch to that one of Purgatory. And as we go down here, you'll see, so look out, you may recognise this bit from the trailer, and you might be able to hear the sound of rushing water. So I fall down here. Now this is sort of the trademark look before I go around this corner, the one that has been used in the trailer, and the one that I've tweeted about a lot, and it's also the image for the Discord server. This is the waterfall. Okay, so there's our waterfall object, so to speak, and you may just be able to see in there, now that I'm getting a little bit closer, that there is a ball at the top. There are also 8 TV screens around the room. And the idea here, if it weren't obvious, is that you've got to move the ball from the top to the bottom. And I'll just show you a little example of how that would work. You've got 2 buttons on either side of each TV screen, and if I push one of the buttons, one of the levels of the waterfall moves. Push it back the other way. And that's all I'm going to show you for now. There is more to this puzzle than meets the eye, which I will let you discover in your own time. But that's what it looks like, the waterfall. And so we're going to go back up this very long staircase here. This is a long, windy one. Now, originally you could access this staircase from either way. It should feel slightly labyrinthine, but it's not an enormous space. So hopefully it won't take people too long to get their bearings. And it's not like puzzles are deliberately hidden to make them more needlessly complicated. So as we come back up here, we get back to this door here, which will open from this side and take me back to the corridor in which I started. Now, I've not actually solved any of the puzzles yet, so when I go back to my start room here, you'll see that these torches are still unlit, and they're still... oh, that one's not even hooked up yet. Still unpullable. So say at the moment this is more of a tech demo and sort of showing you the flavour of the game that it's going to become, and I hope you can see from this that it's very much not completed yet, and there is still quite a long way to go with it, even down to the fact that the pause menu moves the camera around as well as the mouse. Which I find slightly irritating, but that's going to be something that will obviously get ironed out in due course. So it's not near completion, but 7 of the 8 puzzles do function, so to speak. So they and no, the menu button doesn't work either. They do function. So it's the DNA of the game is there. The main thrust of the gameplay model is constructed. So now it's a lot of probably slightly more, from my point of view, tedious work in ironing it out and making sure everything looks as it should and there's no texturing issues, and then obviously adding the polish, like the sound effects and the score and the narration and the narrative and so on. But I hope this has been interesting, and I hope you've it's sort of whetted your appetite a little bit for what the game is going to be, without giving away too much information about what it's going to be, because I'm very much aware it's a puzzle game, and once you know how to solve the puzzles, it doesn't really have much replayability. So that's why I'm being sort of deliberately coy about what the puzzles are. And if you wanted to start a discussion in the puzzle section of the Discord, you'd be very welcome to do that, and there'll be a link in the description to that if you're not there already. So there we go. That is the first hands-on demo, if you like, of the Jigsaw House. It's been developed by myself, Royal Flush, or Ben Lathbury. Persephone's Chairs, the studio behind it, and it will be being released on PC and maybe Mac and possibly other platforms, but certainly PC in the first instance, in hopefully some point late next year, 2019. That is the target at the moment. So that's all for now. If you have got any questions, feel free to ping or DM me either on Discord or on Twitter, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. And if you, most importantly in a way, I'm obviously still in the process of marketing the game and getting it out in the public eye. So if you have friends or other programmers or developers who think they might be interested in this sort of thing, please do share this with them, along with the trailer and the Discord and the Twitter feed and stuff. Because it would be great to have the more people are interested in it, the better, the more fun. Hopefully, we can have discussing all the puzzles and stuff as well in due course. So do spread the word. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you another time very soon, I hope. Okay, hello stream. Hopefully you can hear me okay, and there's nothing in the background apart from my cat. My cat Ozzy has come to join me, and now he's gone. Yeah, that's all he wanted to say. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the tech demo of the Jigsaw House. I've been sort of surreptitiously looking at the chat as we've gone through. But I think there were a few questions that cropped up, so I am now happy to take any questions and answer them as best I can. I'm going to have a quick flick back through the report, but first of all I would sort of really value your honest feedback just from what that looked like, and if that looks like the sort of game you'd like to play. Because it's been a really exciting development project for me. I say I know quite a few of you, and I know quite a few from the Tane community, and I know quite a lot of you have played my mods and stuff before, so it's in that sort of guise of that puzzle solving thing, and I hope you think it looks okay, even for a pre-alpha thing. So I'm just going to flick through the questions that I can sort of see at the moment. Explain plotline as to why they are here in the first place. Yeah, that's TW. That's going to be possibly addressed depending where I go with the narrative, but the idea is going to be that it's going to there's going to be some explanation as to why you're there, and that's all going to be told through narration. I start at the end similar to Anti-Chamber. Poor crew, I've not played Anti-Chamber, but if you start at the end, then yeah. Is there a sprint in this game, or is tab on the slow side? Long Beach Guide, yeah. There's it's not a sprint, but you can certainly move faster with the shift key held down. It's not, and I've actually been moving when I've been sort of testing it and stuff, moving at about 50 times the speed just to get around the house. But I'm not 100% decided. I didn't want it to be sort of Call of Duty Modern Warfare speeds of movement. But likewise, I don't want it to be quite as slow as Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which was a bit laborious. So switches, yes. Okay, the lantern thing, yeah. The floating cage thing, it's very placeholder. Originally, I wanted to have like an arm, and it being sort of held on the arm, a bit like that, like it is in Amnesia. It proved to be quite challenging to find a free arm asset in the asset store, so I may buy one. I may go with the slightly shaky animation. I'm not yet decided, but it has been commented that it is a little bit close to the face and it looks a bit weird being static. But at the moment it's the best thing. It sort of looks like the lantern's being held overhead, so you don't have to animate the arm. And it is actually, if you look at it in third person, it is floating, so to speak. Will this be uploaded to YouTube? Yes, it will be. After reset, yes, that's right. Or indeed, rats I messed up. That would also work. Yeah, parental discretion advised. I need to do a little bit more research into how it's going to work in terms of parental advisory, and if I need to go through the BBFC or something, because there are some disturbing painting, but it's art, so is it fine? It's something to be. In this painting here, it's on an episode of QI. It's the death of Da Vinci, actually. This painting. So what's Rodney Bewes doing in the background? So yeah. Possibly parental discretion. So lanterns, static arm, high, excessively high. So lots of discussion on the lantern there. And then we got to the staircase. We'll develop. Yes, numbers under the staircase, very well spotted. No call for us, so no, I'm not showing you the maze just now. The maze is being saved, so to speak. Pentagram, is that a cat at the top? No, it's a gargoyle. Epic toast. It does. I think the asset is actually cat gargoyle or cat statue, but it looks suitably domineering and scary. What's wrong with their candle? Yeah. So that's part of the puzzle. The candles fire up to the ceiling, and that's what the writing on the wall is a little bit about the temple there. Yeah, that little bit of wall that I pointed out has now been fixed. Yeah, I could make it that you just kick through it, and actually the scenery is all destructible, but no one ever actually tries to do that. And then the waterfall. Actually, it was really interesting that I built the waterfall, and about 4 days later, Tim Wee put marble tumble into the Catane mod workshop. So that was quite interesting seeing that, because that was a total, genuinely a coincidence. Thank you, Do Not Defy Me. The waterfall, it does. I was pretty happy with how that's actually turned out. It's one of the things actually in terms of the puzzle thing is more or less, I think, pretty much there. Yes, Bitstim, you should be playing your new Switch. We saw the pictures earlier on, and it's good that you've got them. Okay, console port. At the moment, I don't know enough about what I would have to do to port it to console. I would like to get it on console, on some consoles certainly, but I don't at the moment. I don't know enough about it to want to commit to anything either way. I know I can build for PC. I know I can build for Mac, and they're pretty well the same thing. But I've not even got into the details on how it would work with the control pad. I've not gotten, and if there's no settings to change the control configuration if you don't want space to be jump and so on. So I'm looking at the live chat TW and seeing on the stream chat down there that is not console port confirmed. That is, I would like it to be so, but I don't know yet. So let's go puzzles on the pause menu. Yeah, the pause menu. Every fast puzzle game and live Q&A. Whereas console port. Thank you, Box said. Yes, I can't wait to see it develop as well. It is at the point now where I have done all 8 of the main puzzles in the game. I finished the 8th one today, and it is now theoretically a playable game. Why no Switch port? Yeah. Just to check, but I think it might be as simple as that, but I would want to test it out a little bit more. Ashes suggests that it's perhaps not just a checkbox. Cat in the corner. Yes, Ozzy came and joined me, and now he's gone. Scallion, thank you very much. I think it does look quite exciting. I'm hoping it looks at least a little bit interesting and not just corridors and walls. I know it's not, gleaming and wonderful and all star shiny, and I'm not using the. What's the engine? Unreal. I'm not using Unreal Engine, so it's always going to have a certain. I don't know, is Unity plasticky? It feels slightly plasticky, maybe, but I'm quite happy with the aesthetic of it at the moment, and it's my first game as well. So, Porku, can you have a time machine? No, I can't confirm that. Red, hello, Red. Look in general of the Jigsaw House Discord, Epic Toast. I will have a look in general of the Jigsaw House Discord. What is happening in there? There is. I like this. I'm just going to share this in the chat because that's tickled me. I don't know if that'll come up. I guess we'll see in a minute. Mr. Begins, so apologies for that, but stylistically, what existing puzzle games would you say this most feels like? Warning track, that it was sort of in the intro, and it's the style of puzzle that is under the hood, so to speak, is kind of Catane-y. In terms of the gameplay and what you've got to do, it's a little bit more Ethan Carter, and in terms of aesthetic and look and exploration-wise, it's a bit more Amnesia. So this will be going in a VOD. It will be available on Twitch, and I will put it on YouTube as well. So they're the 3 sort of main influences, so to speak. Working on cross-platform stuff from mobile and release different Unity version of Fixed and build it somewhere else because Unity can't build it properly because Unity. I thought maybe some seventh guest. Now, Honest, I've not played Seventh Guest, so you might have to tell me a little bit more about that because it sounds like something I might quite like to play. The type or feel of the puzzle is usually the big thing for me. Yeah. Okay. So the number of puzzles is going to be 8. When the game will release, will be any plans on adding more? So Porco, as I sort of suggested in the introduction, your welcome warning track, I sort of suggested in the introduction, I've got this idea that I don't want to aim for Mars and crumble just outside the stratosphere. I want to do something that I can manage having previously only done self-contained individual mods. I want to focus on a project that I feel I can deliver on a reasonable timescale. Because if it's not on a reasonable timescale, I'm going to get bored or frustrated because I'm not a programmer, and anyone who's talked to me will know this. I've had a lot of help from a couple of individuals here as well in getting up to scratch with programming, but I don't have any formal training in it, so I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. So I sort of feel like having 8 puzzles is a reasonable number, and there are a variety of difficulties to the puzzles. They're not all very easy, they're not all very hard. Some of them are quite hard, some of them are quite easy. I have got this idea that I might turn it into a sort of episodic game. I have episodic content, and I might make it sort of DLC, so you have the Jigsaw House Part 2 rather than just doing a direct sequel. A couple of people have mentioned, am I going to do anything in terms of creating a mod kit? At the moment, I don't know, because I wouldn't even know where to begin on approaching something like that. I would love to, in theory. I think it would be great to have, because as a sort of community member who's contributed to an existing game and seen how that extends the life of the game and how bringing new ideas to a game can just revolutionise it. I'm referring to Contain here, which, and I know Bits didn't say, is a wonderful, fabulous, brilliant game in its own right. The mods that are added to that just completely they transform the game and give it a new lease of life. Yeah, I would like to, but at the moment I don't know how I'd go about approaching that, and I would certainly want to get it into the community and played and established amongst fans and players first before going down there. Long Beach Glide, any jump scares? I was toying with the idea of having something sort of creep up on you, which I haven't implemented yet. There is one, in fact it's in one of the puzzles that you've seen. There is it's not a jump scare per se, but there's something that happens in one of the puzzles that you see that could be considered to be a jump scare, though I didn't plan it to be a jump scare. I think what actually happened, it's when I wrote the code for it, I accidentally left the volume too high on a particular sound effect, and then went to do the thing that triggered it, and it really, I sort of shook in my chair, so to speak. I was sort of there on my headphones, and then this thing happened. It was that sort of moment, and I was expecting it, so maybe that is a jump scare. Thank you, Porky. Nice to see you, and do have a good sleep. So I don't know if that could qualify as a jump scare. You will have to be the judge of that. There's not an intentional jump scare; it might be an accidental one. The scare of realising your arm doesn't exist while holding a lantern. That's quite an existential, scary thing. You know, nice foundations and puzzle look cool, and I'm kind of worried about if there's meant to be horror, because it doesn't seem too spooky. Maybe turn on lighting. Yeah, do not define me that it's not meant to be horror. But it gives off a certain horror vibe because it's this multi-story dungeons pack. But it's not a horror game. There are certainly horror influences, I would say, but it's not a horror game. It's not designed to be scary. Though I understand what you're saying about turning down the lights. I've spent more time than I would care to estimate fiddling with the lighting levels on this. And when I first started, I was trying to do mountains around, and I was trying to do a day-night system, and I've sort of got one in Unity. It's just not currently built in the game. Sort of a day-night system where the sun and the moon would go around, it would rotate, and that changed the lighting and stuff. As it stands at the moment, there isn't one, and it's sort of the right level of, if anything, I agree, it's still a bit too light, but at the moment there are so many lights in the game that it would take me a little while to tweak them all, so it's definitely something that I'm bearing in mind, because I do want it to have the horror, but I don't want it to fall victim of the, I don't know if anyone's seen or played the game Agony recently. I don't want it to fall victim of the thing where it's so dark that it actually becomes frustrating and a bore to play. That's not the point. I want you to be able to see stuff. I want it to be dark, so that you've got to get your lantern out to actually see certain things, but not make it so that it's dark just for the sake of being dark. It's going to be something I say, oh, it's supposed to be a video thing too. I sort of answered one Fred's question there, and it looks like I'm catching up to where I actually finished. How to port games to console. Beg ST of console maker. Check the box in Unity. Deal with all the console maker stupid demands. Lol, it's all broken. That's a good checklist, Thomas. I will I'll bookmark that. And then there's a picture. Long arm with the light buds here. You can sort of holistic environmental stuff. It's look around. What's in the environment and what can you work out? It's not with maybe one possible exception. One possible exception. It's not like Catane where the answer is written down for you. But the hook of Catane is that you've got the answer written down, but you've got to tell the other person. Here, it's the answer will be displayed, but it might be in a slightly more abstract way, or you've got to actually figure out what does this puzzle want you to do, and you've got to look around and you've got to use your smarts, and there's more than likely going to be one point where you're going to have to refer to outside sources for stuff, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Will there be Easter eggs besides the puzzles, like references to other games? Good question, Long Beach Glide. At the moment, no plans to, I don't think. Although the paintings are kind of Easter eggy. There's some of my sort of favourite Renaissance artwork in there, and there's other more modern art as well. I haven't really thought about putting Easter eggs in there at the moment. If I do, that's something that will probably be on a spur of the moment thing when I decide to do it. So at the moment, no plans, but if there are, I probably wouldn't tell you anyway. I'd let you find them on your own time. Amnesia enemy bursts from the waterfall to have to hide the paintings. This is the jump scare here. Any thoughts as to making the corridors visually different for easy navigation? That's a really good point. At the moment, the visual element to guide you around the corridors is the painting, or are the paintings. I'm aware, obviously, you can change the paintings, so you can move them around to maybe give you a bit of a breadcrumb trail. So if the first painting you pick up is one that's really memorable, you can put it in a corridor to sort of indicate where you are. I would say there aren't so many corridors that I feel you would need to leave a trail of breadcrumbs. I don't want to give you a full map of the house, but there are essentially two puzzle hub areas, one of which sort of has a loop back to somewhere, and that's about it. It's not big enough for you to get lost in, and at the moment I'm not currently planning on doing any more architecture, as in extending the physical size of the house, rather as opposed to I'm just going to work with what I've got now. The house, there are a couple of holes in the house that I need to plug, but the house is essentially built, and I'm not planning on it getting any bigger. But I do agree that it's sort of falling victim of that corridor, running down the corridor game, and all the corridors look the same. So even in a small space, it's going to be slightly difficult to circumnavigate. One thing I do need to put more, I need to put more doors in. None of the corridors have any props apart from the first room with the two skeletons in. Nothing really has any props at the moment, so that's going to be something I'm going to add, and that'll be something I'll be looking at when I get more asset packs and things to work with. Maybe fixing the invisible wall. Yes, actually, that was the first thing I fixed when I went back to work a couple of days ago. The invisible wall, I managed to hide it with a column. I haven't done the bleed going into the staircase room yet, though that will probably be covered by a door because of animation reasons, which I won't go into. We'll find a way to mod it without the mod kit anyway. I'm sure you will, Red. I do not doubt it. Good night, Porker. I think I said that. I think the Hellcat Gargoyle room is spooky enough. Yeah, it's got a sort of spooky vibe to it. I was going, and there's another room which I haven't shown you, but you have seen the paintings. There's a hint for you. The paintings are supposed to be spooky without being horrifying, so to speak. They're supposed to sort of rattle you, maybe get a bit under your skin, and the temple room is sort of similar to that as well. What time period does this game take place? A very good question. In my mind, it was a sort of pre-Victorian sort of castle thing. That's why you've got torches and flames and a lantern rather than an electronic, battery-operated torch. But then at the same time, you've got some quite complex puzzles, and you've got television screens in the waterfall room, and there is also another puzzle, which is the actual name of the puzzle. Which actually I think I put in the Discord, so if you're not in that yet, you should go and join it. There was the name of another puzzle which suggests it couldn't be much earlier than about 1920. There's a sort of spy party thing going on about it, which is a game actually in about 10 minutes' time I'm going to go and have a league match with Scallions, who hopefully is still here. There is a sort of slightly timeless vibe about it. I'm not trying to compare my game in its current form to Spy Party, which is amazing and brilliant, and if you haven't played it, you definitely should go and play it. But Spy Party had a sort of timeless feel to it. It could be set in any era, and that's sort of what I'm going for here. I don't want to tie it down with a particular era, because you could say it's 18th century with anachronisms, or you could say it's a 21st century but masquerading as an old thing, like a prop from a film or something. Oh, now I've said that out loud. That's given me an idea, but we'll get to that. Are there any puzzles involving light? Involving light? Not per se, not at the moment, I don't think. Now I've said that. Yes, but perhaps not in the way you might imagine, actually. So there is a puzzle where the object is to switch off lights, but it doesn't involve shadows and texturing of the lantern. You haven't got to hold the lantern in a particular way. I'm assuming that's what you're asking. So light is used in some of the puzzles, and some of the clues you will need to have the lantern to be able to see them. So yes, light is involved, but perhaps not in the way you may have phrased that question in. If you're 2D, you could just have a really dark room that you have to memorise and then turn off your lantern and solve. Could do that. That might be a bit tedious and a bit lazy for me. Something with prisms and stuff would be cool. It would be. No current plans for that at the moment. Rainbows. I love the outside sources thing. If anything, I wish there were more. I love when the game sort of all that knowledge. By outside sources track, I'm assuming you mean sort of references to stuff outside the game. I'll let you clarify that. Painting puzzle panels for TV screens. Have you heard of Spy Party? Yes, Hermes, have you ever heard of Spy Party? It's rather good. Maybe it could be a mirror instead of TV screens. That's an interesting thought. I could probably change the texturing, but then you'd see your face, which you don't have because you're a camera. Magic mirror. Consider this magic. So have a player. Yeah, we don't have a player model. Do not define me. It's a camera with a floating lamp, which at some point when I do a dev stream, I might actually show you. Try and figure out how we hold the lantern so high. Quite floating arm and lantern. Steampunk mechanical representations of the waterfall thing instead of TV show. Maybe cool idea. Could be a spooky ghost. That's a story twist. I like it. Maybe Skyrim-esque character design for us on a scale of the opening area of the witness to the final puzzle in Blue Ice, which no one solved. How hard do you envision this game? Well, I've not played Blue Ice, Hummus, so I can't comment on that. I've played some of The Witness. I played The Witness for about 3 hours before getting bored. Here's the thing: is I don't think I'm very good at solving puzzles. It's kind of a strange thing to admit for a designer of a puzzle game. There are some puzzles which it's really hard to say because it depends how your brain is wired, and it depends how you see things and how you go about approaching puzzles. Because the different puzzles will have different ways in which you should approach them. So some of them will be fairly obvious but time-consuming. Some of them will be. There is at least one, I think, and I think it's only one at the moment, that you can work out through a very long and laborious trial by error. But it'd be much easier to actually work it out properly. So I don't want to pigeon at the moment. No one outside of me has actually played them. Yeah, which is something for that's not quite true. I've shown a few in real life people, and they've attempted stuff, but no one from sort of online communities and programming communities that I'm part of have actually tested them yet. So now that I've got the 8th puzzle done, it is going to be getting close to a sort of quasi-permeable alpha stage, where I'm going to be start sending it out to a handful of people and seeing what do you make of these puzzles. Are they too easy? Are they too hard? Are they too abstract? Are they too not fleshed out enough, and so on? So that doesn't really answer your question, Hummus. But so the simple answer is at the moment I don't know, because I'm going in with a bias, and I sort of know the answers to all of them. Put it this way, even though I know the answers to all of them, I haven't yet actually solved all 8 in one sitting. So I'll leave you with that for now. I've heard of that gameplay though. How long till Twitch plays the Jigsaw House? Not anytime soon, Red. I can guarantee that. Don't think about not blowing glass out of many days. The 200 reveals that there was a meta puzzle built into the game and a prize was offered and no one solved it. Oh, okay. I don't think it's that hard. It's cruel and awful with stupid releases of their towns. One more question. Can I get the game for free? No, Epic Toast. Unfortunately, I can't make that promise either way, because this is sort of become my my sort of day job in a way. So I'm hoping that people will like it. But just to address the question of money for a minute, it's not going to be prohibitively expensive. I also don't buy into the theory that you should pay for a game. The value of a game is determined by how much life you get out of it, because if that were the case, Spy Party would have been the most profitable investment of my entire life, because it didn't cost, I think it was about $15 when I paid for it, and I must have close to 200 hours on that. So I'm not going to name the price. I think it will be less than £10 is what I've said in the FAQs for now. Until I've done more research and found out, what the competition is, though. I don't want to commit to something, but I'm not going to be going in and charging 40 quid AAA gaming prices, because I'm not a madman. I do want people to buy it, and also I want people to recognise that it is an indie project. It is a sort of a one-man band project. So if I go in and I start, trying to charge £40-50, people are going to go up in arms, because it's going to, not present itself as a AAA game. So that will be reflected in the price. But at the moment, I can't. I'm inclined to say no. You can't have it for free. If you're an alpha tester, you will probably get a version of the game. But at the moment, I've only spoken to one, I think maybe 2 people about alpha testing. So I'm not quite at that stage yet. Some bikey game that had a ridiculous series of Easter eggs that hints that the final Easter egg will be revealed under the Eiffel Tower in 100 years. That's different. Discord integration of Rich and Bear's API open source virtual boy. I'll try to buy that. I appreciate that, Epic Toast, I do, and I appreciate having reached, and you as well, TW Gaming. I appreciate you trying to buy it, and I appreciate your. Is it going to be on Greenlight? Don't know. It will probably be a release in Steam. I don't think it's going to go into Steam Early Access because of the nature of the game. I don't want it to be the sort of game where you play half a game or an unfinished game, and then the finished game is essentially a polished version of the game you've already played. That to me completely defeats the point. So it will be released when it's finished, probably to Steam, but again at this point I don't have enough information to give back to you. Day one bonus content, there might be a day one discount or something. So that's really, I'm very thirsty. Thank you for saying you will try and buy it. VR could happen. I would love VR, but I don't know enough about VR to code it, so maybe at some point in the future. Do you have no plans for a Kickstarter campaign or something? You probably have enough resources already for this game. Do you have a release estimate? But a rough timeline still. Okay. One time Kickstarter campaign. Not really, because the game isn't actually expensive to create. The most, the most intensive resource that actually is taken up is my time. And as I've already said, it's a project of passion. So it's not like I need to supplement my income. My income is I have a real job, as a lot of you know. I'm a musician, so I have a day job, and I have enough money coming in to support this project, if you like. How much have I actually physically spent in terms of pounds and pence on it? Not a huge amount. I think I've bought 1 or maybe 2 assets and the multi-story dungeons pack, and I think I gave the guy who did the soundtrack, so he let me have the score for free, but I think I sent him some PayPal stuff to buy himself a coffee. So it's not a project that's costing a lot of money, so it doesn't need a Kickstarter. It just needs focus and time from me. Do I have a release estimate? Soon, TM. No, late next year. 2019 is the target. Might be sooner, might be later. I think originally I put 2019, and then someone who I respect and has very good opinions and knowledge of this area suggested that 2019 was a bit ambitious, and then I threw together 7 functioning puzzles in the space of a month, and I thought, well, okay, so how long's a piece of string? I'm sure I could keep tweaking and making changes forever, but I think having a target that is realistic is late next year, Q4 2019, I think is probably going to be my target, but beyond, more specific than that, I won't say. And that's a target, that is not a guarantee, that's not a book the weekend off work sort of thing. Is it going to have a Battle Royale mode? I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. How do you feel about the OP1? I don't know what OP1 is. I don't know if that question was directed at me either. But maybe Hummus will confirm. While Hummus is potentially confirming that, heck, what's heck? We're all hacking now. Oh, a portable synth. Okay. Absolutely no knowledge whatsoever. I can't give a fair answer on that. I play instruments that have hammers and strings and stuff, and no electronics as a rule. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up because I've got a match with Scallions starting very soon. But can I just take this opportunity to thank everybody for tuning in to this tech demo and the Q&A. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and hopefully it will, over the next year or so, it'll start to spread and grow as I continue to market it. But I mean, the best thing you can do for marketing, as far as I can suggest, is if you like it, or if you like what you see and you think you're going to be interested and you want to support me as a lone developer, and more importantly, if you think you've got friends who would like it or would be into this sort of thing, please share the Discord, share my Twitter, share the videos. This video is going to be going up on YouTube as well. Share it far, share it wide, and hopefully the more people get involved, the more, I don't want to say that the more people are involved, the more incentive I've got to work faster, because I don't think like that anyway, because I want to complete it for my own benefit of being able to point to something and say I did a thing. But if you want to help support me and support development of the game, the best thing you can do is spread the word. Share the Twitter, share the Discord, share the trailers, and I might do another one of these when it's a little bit further on, but I can't guarantee it, because again, anything you see is probably going to be giving stuff away. I may very well do a development stream at some point, but keep your eye on the Discord, and do subscribe to me on Twitch for obviously some notifications about what's going on. Battle Royale, no, I did not know it was available. Will there be a lore? There will probably be some form of lore, character backstory, and explanation as to why he's in this weird random house. Though I haven't quite got that far yet. At some point I'll sit down with pen and paper and actually write some scripting, but that won't be happening yet. And thank you for the luck against Scallions. Boy golly, I am going to need it. And finally, before I go, I did promise you I'll show you a picture of Persephone. It's been very warm here in the UK recently. So Ozzy, who's my other cat who was here at the beginning, the white one, he's been in a lot because he sunburns really easily. But Penny, I've seen once every 3 or 4 days, and then she'll disappear again. She comes back in for something to eat, and then she goes again. So I will show you a picture of Persephone, because final question that hasn't been asked, but I'm going to answer anyway. Persephone's chair, where does that name come from? Persephone is the name of my cat. I call her Penny. We call her Penny for short. And my office chair is I can't remember what it is, but it's one of these really nice ones. When I got my gaming PC, it was one of the things I didn't mind spending quite a bit on. And Penny started sitting on it for comfort, and when she was sat on it, I could not go on it and do any work. And yet that is where I did all my work, and so it was sort of renamed Penny's chair and then Persephone's chair. And the logo you actually see up in the top right hand corner, that's the logo for the studio Persephone's chair, which is where that name comes from. The cat would sit on my chair, and that chair is where I got all my creative ideas from. And the cat is wearing my glasses in that picture, and that was actually drawn by my wife, Megan, because a lot of you know as Mrs. Flush. She designed that logo, and I'm very grateful to her for letting me use it for the company. So that is the company logo, and that's where the name comes from. And this is, I hope you can see it and you don't have any glare on here, this is Persephone, or Penny. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm going to wait for it to go on there, let's go a bit. So yeah, that's Penny, Persephone. She's very cute. She's a bit bossy and mean and moody, but she's my baby. She was my first cat. So yeah, I've got her. We've got Ozymandias, and we've got Hermione the dog as well. So it's, yeah. Anyway, I think because I've been just over an hour. Would pet that cat. She would scratch you. She can be very fussy, but she does look very cute. Once again, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for sharing around that this was happening, and for your ongoing support with the game. I will keep you up to date with what's going on. Do follow me on Twitter. That's generally where I post updates, and there is a link to the Twitter thread in the Discord if you aren't there already. For now, though, I thank you very much once again, and hope that you will continue following the progress of the Jigsaw House, and in due course come to play it and enjoy it. I've been Ben Lathbury, you may know me as Royal Flush, and I will see you another time. Take care, and good night.